Hey, good morning. I hope everybody's having a good morning today. I am Jeff Blankenburg, and we are here today to get started working on a bunch of cool stuff. For those of you that have been here before, like Gold Zulu, good morning, Early Bird. Um, we've iterated a few times on the idea of having a casino chatbot, and there's one running on the channel. If you haven't used it before, there's lots of things you can do, like play a hand of poker, which I just did there. And you can see that, boom, I won 5 coins with a pair. So the chatbot works from that perspective. But the thing that I've realized is that I would really like to... good morning, FF. Good morning. The thing that I'd really like to be able to do with this chatbot is apply it to a bunch of other platforms. So this bot that I've built works just fine on Twitch. But the logic for Twitch and the logic for the casino are very, very intertwined. Good morning, W. Giorgio. Man, we got a good crew this morning. Everybody's fired up and ready to go. So I've been trying to figure out how I can best kind of extract that. And so the first thought I had was, well, let me take the logic that I have. Jeff Nunn is here. Goodness, what a good time we're going to have today. So, yeah, so I was thinking about how I can break this stuff down, and I started with an Alexa skill. And I'm gonna give her a little muty mute. Never seen my hair this short. Greg, we haven't worked together long enough then. I just got a haircut last week, and this is what my hair normally looks like. Now, during this quarantine, I've had a total of, well, now 2 haircuts in 6 months. I normally get my hair cut about every 4 weeks. So this is normal Jeff to me, right? Clean shaven, short hair, looking crisp. That's where we're at today. The shagginess that I have been carrying around for the past 2 months has been kind of driving me crazy, actually. And I had to do it. I had to get a haircut. My son and I went and got haircuts actually last Thursday, Friday, something like that. Anyway, we got a good pile of people here. Let My People Code. Kevin Evans is on vacation and still here. That's dedication. Not one that I expect from any of you, but thank you, Kevin, for being here this morning. I wish I was camping right now. That sounds pretty fun. Okay, so back to the story. So first, I should also let you guys know I have to end early today. I have this distinct opportunity to actually do an interview with the vice president of my division. His name is Aaron Rubinson. You may have seen him during Alexa Live. But I'm getting to do a fireside chat with him today at noon Eastern, which is normally right when we end this stream. So I'm going to have to end probably 20 minutes early, get over there, chat with him a little bit before we get into the interview, and then go through that thing. So, yeah, I will have to end a little bit early today, but I just want to prepare you guys for that as we get into this. The casino is open. 8-ball is open. All the stuff is there and working, so feel free to play with those things. Kevin, I'm looking forward to your stream, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what you got there. I've tuned in for W Georgia. I've tuned in for Gold Zulu. I can't do it all the time. You guys tend to go in the evenings, and I've got soccer practices and stuff. But I do love watching what you guys are building. Okay, so anyway, so the story about this Chatsino, which is the name we're really sticking with, is that as I started building the Alexa skill, I still realized that there were some challenges and some limitations to the architecture that I had selected. Whoa, look at that. Let My People Code just hit a jackpot. Interesting. I wonder what you provided, JB Nunn. If you just do poker, it should just... did you put some extra, like, characters or stuff afterward? That should have just worked. Anyway, I found that there were still limitations in what the casino could do when talking to an Alexa skill. That's an odd error that I've never seen before, Jeff Nunn. What just happened there? You got me concerned. That's why. Um, because I challenged Jeff Nunn to a hand of rock, paper, scissors. So, Jeff, the reason that you can't bet money, or the reason that you're struggling here, I think, is I've challenged you a while ago to a 100 coin rock, paper, scissors challenge. And so you need to do exclamation point RPS, and that should solve it for you. You'll either win or lose that. But it basically has reserved those coins from your balance. Nice, you won. No, W. Giorgio, I'm pretty sure it may still zero people out. And I'm actually going to validate that right now. Yeah, see, now he has undefined coins. That was what I was worried about. So, let's go back in here. Hold on, Jeff Nunn. I'll fix your balance. There seems to be a bug where I think I need 10,000 for myself. And Jeff Nunn probably needs 5,000. That sounds pretty good. Okay, Jeff, you've got money now. That was the issue. Don't play rock, paper, scissors, everybody. I need to fix that. Okay. So anyway, so I decided on Friday that we were going to start over, and we were going to really think deeply about what is the right way to build this bot. And in doing that, it made me realize that I had a lot of dependencies built right into the logic that were feeding things back to the skill, or to the skill at that case, but also the chatbot that really limited me. And so what I've done, and I guess I can show you guys this, what I've done, this is the actual database that we're working in right now. So let's look, I created a new one, and this new one only has me as a user, so you won't see any activity in here right now other than when I run some code. But what you can see is that I have a record for my user, has a username, I have a balance, this is a roll-up field in Airtable that is current wagers, and we'll get into what those are. And then we have an available balance. This available balance is really the number that I should use when I'm checking and comparing whether or not a user can make a wager. So Jeff Nunn was kind of running into this, I think, where you want to bet 5, but you only have 3 coins. The system should push back and say, I'm sorry, you don't have the ability to do that kind of stuff. These are all things that I still need to figure out for this new structure that I'm building. But the real trick, the real challenge that I have is, how do I feed all of that information back? What is the proper way to provide that kind of messaging? I think I'm going to have to come up with I'm trying to treat this almost like an API. And so I'm going to have some kind of set of error codes or something along those lines that say invalid wager, right? So that the chatbot itself can craft the language that it needs for the user in the language that it wants to craft for the user. So I'm speaking about spoken languages. And how do I actually get it to provide those kinds of error codes so that a developer, probably me, building a chatbot using this casino can easily identify what's going on without having to know anything about the casino itself. It just knows that when an error code like this comes back, I say this. When this object comes back, I do this. And that's stuff that I'm going to have to dig more deeply into. I'm getting a pit in my stomach just thinking about all of the things that I haven't considered yet. So anyway, the first step that I needed to make was that when I first built the casino, and what the thing you guys are using right now, is that for poker, slots, and roulette, when you play those games, you are actually just playing. I mean, you're not making a wager per se. I'm just defining it as a game, and you made one bet, it happened, and it's over. And that required me to build an entirely separate ledger that you guys have probably seen that keeps track of what your win-loss records are across each game, but also in total. Because the wager table didn't really reflect that, because I didn't have things in there for one-turn games like slots and poker. And I realized that I really except for slots, everything should be more than one turn, right? Video poker, you should be able to save some cards and submit them before the game is over. You get 2 turns basically on that. Blackjack will require lots of turns. Roulette is really fun on here, but you only get to make 1 bet, and the real strategy to roulette isn't to make a 1 bet wager and then spin the wheel. It's meant to, generally, it's meant for you to be able to put 7 or 10 or 15 bets out there and spin the wheel, and hopefully one of them hits pretty well. So roulette requires a bunch of wagers for 1 game, and so I kind of changed my architecture a little bit. I mean, this looks similar to the old one, but you can see here that I have a game table, and in here I have a game type. This game type is a lookup from my game type table. These are all slots right now because that's the only thing that I've built. The game itself knows what its payout was, so you can see here that this is telling me exactly for all the wagers that were within that game, what was the total payout for that game. So in 1 game of slots, this is kind of a unified thing. Right, there was only 1 wager, there was only 1 spin, and then the game is over. But for a game of roulette, you might have 15 or 20 different bets. Some of them win, some of them lose. And so this column here will tell me exactly how much each individual game won. Then I have losing bets and winning bets. These are just how much did the losers lose and how much did the winners win. It's really, this is a sum of these two columns, but these are roll-up columns that I'm using inside the game. And then even for a game of slots, I'm also creating a wager record. And this wager record now has a bunch of other interesting stuff in it, including obviously the game type, but the amount that the person wagered. This is the really important piece. What the status of this wager is. Is it still open? And we'll get into that in just a second. And then if it's done, if it's completed, I want to put an outcome there if there is an outcome. And outcomes are only positive things. So I would never put in here that you just got like 4, 7, 9, 2, 3. In poker, I would only put things here if you got like a pair or something like that. I've considered trying to record every single hand that's dealt, but that seems like a lot of data without a lot of purpose. So I'm not going to do that for now. So I am recording games in which there is an outcome, and then the way that I know whether or not they lost is whether or not there was an outcome. So I also record what their payout was. So you can see here that in this field, and I'm recording this isn't calculated, they bet 10, the outcome was they hit nothing, so they won minus 10 coins, basically. In this case, they bet 10, they hit 1 cherry, so they won 30 coins. The trick with this, and the way that I've kind of modeled this, is that you technically win... maybe I should think about this. You technically should be winning 20 coins. Because if I'm closing the bet, like if I think about doing a normal slot machine, if I put a quarter in and I hit something that wins 4 quarters, they give me 4 quarters back. I don't get 4 quarters plus the quarter that I entered into the machine. So let's add that to my to-do list, because that's something that I'm going to run into pretty quickly. That will be an issue. And so I've started yet another to-do list. I'm gonna merge up. Maybe we'll do that here first. The to-do lists that we've had from other things, because I think they're still really valuable. But we need to at least look at slots and say we need to do one of 2 things. Either take the user's bet when they make it, or remove it from their payout when they win. All right, so actually let's open up some of those other to-do lists, because you guys have given me some fantastic feedback that I want to keep in here. So if we go look at some of the other places that we've been, if we go to GitHub here, and then we look at the Slack one, no, not the Slack one. We were working in Alexa. I think this is where a lot of the good feedback is. How many devices do I have unmuted today? Who's talking to me?
Sorry, I haven't found any smart home devices.
I Forgot that I plugged you in. I'm going to have to turn that one off manually. I have an Amazon tap that's hooked up right now. And while I was on the beach, I took it with me and I turned on the touchless mode, where it performs basically like any Echo, except that it doesn't have a mute button. So if you want to modify that, let's see if I can find it. Lab. Amazon tap. And I want to turn the hands-free off. There we go. Now it won't talk to me. Who needs some Chatsino money? Gold Zulu's always looking for money. So let's take this whole list, because there's some really good stuff in here. And I think we can put this one in the general, actually, because this is going to be true for everything. Okay. So that being said, now we've got our to-do list here, and we've got all the things that we want in there. One of the other things that I really want to talk about is how this stuff all plays out. So if you think about when you say something like, if I jump into my chat, if I jump in here and say slots for 5, right, what happens is it just spins the wheel and returns to me my outcome. And so in that case, I lost 5 coins. But what's really happening now in this new system is that I go ahead and I create a game of type slots, and then I create a wager that uses that game. So you can see I have a game ID here. And then I play the game, and then because the game is over, I close out all of the wagers. In this case, there happens to only be one. And then I close out the game and mark that as completed. So if we sit here and watch this table, let's see if I can do this. I have some tests I can run. So if I say npm run test, you should be able to see a new record appear, and it should be considered active. That should happen. There we go. There's my active. And then you see it's turned to completed. So those are 2 different stages that happen within the one process. And the same thing happens with the wager. So if I come in here, we'll do that test again. Oh, did my test fail? Well, I just wrote this test this morning, so it's very possible. Oh. Expect this. I forgot a parentheses. Okay, let's try that again with my test. I mean, it still worked, but we don't want tests failing. So this time you can see that I have a wager that gets completed, active, and then it gets completed, and this one happened to be a loser, and so why? Why would that be the case? I should expect you're telling me that result.user.balance didn't come back? Well, this is what happens when we write software. We learn as we go. So what I'm doing here is returning the user every time, the same user that I passed in, except that the user gets changed here. So I need to check resolve bets and make sure that I'm returning a result even. Let's see, what happens in resolve bets? The last thing that I do is return that all looks right. So I'm returning an object that has a user property. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Why would my balance not exist? The balance is 100. So that's correct. That's what I'm expect. That's what the test says, is that I expect the user's balance to be 100. But for whatever reason, it's not getting passed back that way. So let's take a look. My dog has just decided to start barking. Hmm. What could I be doing here? I need to see what this user object looks like, I guess. Alright, so we're going to call this updated user, and this is going to be updated user. I don't understand why I'm not getting anything from this object, but the problem is this case only happens when we lose. So I need a losing test to happen, which I haven't mocked out anything to do that, so I'm just counting on the casino gods to let me lose. Okay, that certainly looks like a user object to me. I could probably blow this up a little bit. So in here I have a bunch of data, but I think that oh, I see. I think maybe this needs to be dot fields. Maybe that is my issue. No, that can't be right. How can I do this properly? I need user.fields.thing to exist, and it doesn't exist right now, and that's because I'm not passing this back properly. So it feels like I could do user fields updated user.fields. I don't know if that's actually going to get me what I want, but we'll give that a try and see if it solves my problem. I guess I had a bunch of winning cases when I was running these tests earlier, because these didn't fail at all. Still failed. There's my user object. So I guess we'll come over to the test. I hate to write this stuff in here, but we'll just do oh, no, I'm dumb. Dumb. I was doing it right here. I was forgetting to say fields here. User.fields.balance. Actually, I don't know how this ever worked. I don't know how that ever worked. That's like my favorite saying in code. How could this have ever successfully worked? And look at that, our test passed, because we're actually referring to the property as it should be referred to. So we can get rid of this. get rid of this. And we are good now. So did we fail? I guess that's the other thing I should check, yeah. Available balance is 90. Did I screw something up in the table here? No. And no. Wager. What? What does it think my... Why did it say that user balance is 90? Available balance is 90. Oh, because I hadn't cleared the bet yet. Okay. Let my people code. Where did all your money go? Wait a second. Oh, somebody just gave you 1,000. I was like, how did that just happen that you went from 0 to 1,012? But that makes more sense now. Whew. Okay. So we're good. Our tests are passing, which is what we want. And I just have a condition for each to make sure that those things are doing what they need to do. So the next step that I really need to take is thinking about all of the other conditions. And this is really the challenge that I'm having with all of this, is that I feel like I need to be building a consumer of this service at the same time that I'm building the service. Because otherwise I don't really know, like I feel like I need to really understand how this stuff is working. And I feel like right now I'm just building a thing and I'm passing data back. I guess this is fair. Like if I think about my tests, right? The test should validate and give me the statuses that I want. So let's write some more tests. We'll do that. Test invalid wager when more than available. Okay. Let's give this a run. So in this one, we're going to say const result equals await slots.play. And this is kind of nice. I just pass in the user and their wager. So this time we're going to say 11. No. We're going to say, what do I start them with each time? 110. So we're going to say 111 is their wager. I should expect... I can take all of these, I guess. JB Nunn, what did you hit? 234,000. That's pretty impressive. Well, I guess let's just make sure. Let's see what this does, because this should pass back the information that I had. So we'll just run our tests again and see what we get there. And then as I add additional tests, they're definitely going to break. But I think this should pass. And it did. Okay. So what I want to say is that I expect result dot, I don't know if it's error. What else am I passing back? I have my user, I have my wager, and I have my outcome. There's something else that I'm passing back to, if we look at this. User, wager, result, and outcome. And so I think there needs to be another property that is like status. because then I could say result.status to be God, there's just so much information that I need. It's so hard to draw a line in an application. Have you guys ever run into this? This is something that I don't often run into too often, but building two separate pieces of software that work together is obviously pretty common, but not something that I do frequently. And so the thing that I'm running into right now is, well, here's an example. When I built the original chatbot, Casino, the one that you guys are using, I built it in such a way... Ouch, Gold Zulu. I built it in such a way that everything was kind of tied together. And so it was very easy for my chatbot to just query the database and know what your balance was and be aware that you have a balance and all that stuff. And so when you made a bet, let's say you have 10 coins and you make a bet of 15, in the current system, it'll say, "I'm sorry, you don't have that much money." But with this, I have to provide back like a status code, and that status code needs to be able to communicate with the chatbot enough to let it know what to say to the user. Gosh, this just gets so... I feel like I'm creating a bunch of work for myself. Another thing I've been hung up and thinking about all weekend is the idea that I have this dependency on Airtable. It makes me wonder if I couldn't just have the Node app write files locally to keep track of everything without any dependencies on Airtable. Because I don't know that I want to necessarily be dependent on any cloud service, right? Those can go down. But man, I'm not good at like file stream, read write, all that. Oh, Goldzula, I don't think that I necessarily want to commercialize the code. I think I very much want to commercialize the service. So people could add the Twitch bot or the Slack bot or the Discord bot or whatever to their channels. I don't know. I feel like I'm going in circles here trying to get this stuff. W. Georgia, you said your trading card does local write, so you're actually writing the local files. It's just something I've tried to avoid. Is it hard? Like, what are you structuring the files in some sort of predictable data format, or are you just saving everything as JSON? What is what path are you taking there? So you're just saving JSON files. That could work. And then do you have like a history? So could you go back and historically see what a user has done? Are you keeping all of that data? Because I don't necessarily need... Oh, you're not keeping history. Okay. I feel like that's an important piece of this. Yeah, I've got a lot to think about here. It's just every time I have an opportunity to sit here and explain this to you guys, I instantly run into things where I'm like, oh, I should do this differently, or oh, I should think about that, or I should solve this problem. And I just want to build it and have it be right. But I need to get more back into the Alexa world. I mean, this casino stuff is fun, and I would really like to see it come to life. But I also really, I feel like I haven't spent nearly the time building Alexa stuff that I would like to. And there's lots there to explore, especially with all the new features and things that we have. I'm having a midlife crisis right now. I'm reevaluating how I best want to approach this. Because am I making progress? Absolutely. And what am I making progress towards, though? That's the thing that I'm struggling with. Yeah, I think that probably is a good solution, Gold Zulu, is for me to just build the Alexa skill in parallel. So like I think I have slots working. At least I have the actual game of slots working for the Alexa skill. But what I don't have right now is the ability to tell it there's an invalid wager. And what does invalid wager mean? If they say taco, that's an invalid wager. But if they bet 111 and they only have 110 coins, that's also an invalid wager. And I should be able to give them different error codes for those. So I've got to come up with this whole slew of error codes to represent all of the different ways that things can fail. Man. My other option is to build the Alexa skill and stub out the functionality, and then go back and fill in that functionality so that I know what a Alexa skill structure looks like. And my intents might just have like, okay, you made a wager, now do this, now do that, without actually building any of the stuff. And then go back and, because I have, like, the logic is built for handling video poker, for handling slots, for handling roulette, for handling craps even. I have all of that logic written. What's missing is the glue between the two, which is obviously the hardest part. The first 80% is building all of the casino logic, and the second 80% is connecting it to the Alexa skill. I'm also very good with percents. Okay. How do we want to proceed here? I think I would be having a lot more fun if I was doing Alexa stuff. So maybe that's what we should do. Okay, I'm gonna take this away. This isn't done. This isn't dead by any means. But I've got to shift gears here. We're going to run our test one more time just to make sure I didn't break anything. Oh, you like the Fire TV Cube, Gold Zulu? I struggle with the Fire TV stuff in my life. We are a Roku house here, and I feel like I've had a lot of good success with Roku, but I struggle so much with the Fire TV interface that I've decided not to use it. I like the Roku interface so much that I don't use Fire TV stuff in my house at all. I mean, I have, on this table, I have 2 Fire TV cubes. I have a Fire TV stick hooked up to this. I have 2 other Fire TV sticks available in my house, but they're not plugged into anything. Because I just can't justify leaving Roku, which costs me nothing, right? I have all the devices. But Roku's interface is just better for everything. And so that's been a big struggle for me. Nice win, Jeff Nunn. Okay, so we're going to close this. Put that on ice for a little bit. Well, newer Roku remotes do have IR, but they don't. They also have radio, so they can communicate even under a blanket or whatever. They work. But I really like the Roku UI. It's just a set of apps. So I just open the app that I want to use and I do it. And with Fire TV, I feel like I've got some things over here and some things over there. Like the Amazon stuff is kind of treated like first party, even though I don't know. It's very unbalanced. And the apps that I want to use are generally not Amazon things, and they're kind of tucked away. So I have to click into another screen to even get to the stuff that I want, and that bugs me. Okay, so if we look at our skill package, yeah, I'll sign in. Let's do it. Roku does have voice also, but we don't use it very much. Don't get me wrong, I had a Fire TV Cube hooked up for a while because I really wanted the Alexa capabilities. But my TV is also a smart TV, so I still have those capabilities. Like, it was really nice when I had the Fire TV plugged directly into my main television in our living room. You could say turn off the TV, and it would just, over the HDMI cable, turn off the TV, and it would raise and lower the volume. But because I have a Sony, it's like a nice high-end Sony smart TV, I can connect that to Alexa anyway, and then I can still do all of those same things. Change the volume, turn the TV on and off, and I don't have to use just the Fire TV Cube. I can do it from any device. I can set up routines. I can do all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I actually have more capabilities because of my TV than I would with just the Fire TV Cube. But don't get me wrong, like, the stuff on the TV Cube is great. The device is fantastic. Having Alexa sitting right in front of your TV is really, really useful. I just, personally, my preference is not that UI. That's all. Okay, sign in failed. Great. I don't understand. But also don't care right now. How do I want to handle this? This is one of the first things that I really struggled with when we were building the Alexa skill, is all the different ways that you can bet. And I think I want to revisit that. This is going to get really messy and complicated later when I add more games. 53,000 Blanken points? W. Giorgio, what are you going to do with all those? We gotta find something for you to do. Thank you for spending 100 of them. Okay. If we're really talking about building an Alexa skill that's stubbed out, what we need to do is really address the elephant in the room, which is using dialogue management where it makes sense, and I think that starts by building an intent for starting each game. I think that's where we're going to have to start. So, down here, what just happened? My computer restarted because of a problem. Press a key or wait a few seconds to continue starting up. Man, this is not good. So I have a new laptop. Long story, because I'm waiting for my machine to start back up, is I got it in November. That is not the right password. I got it in November, and I tried setting it up. It came with a corporate image, but it didn't work because it was assumed that when I set up the device that I would be in a corporate office, which of course I do not work in. And so I struggled with that for a little while, and then I held on to it because I was going to Seattle in December or something. And I was like, oh, I'll just wait and I'll just take care of it when I get there. My machine's fine for another month. And then I forgot to take it with me. because I'm an idiot. Because it had been a month and it just didn't occur to me. And so then I reached out to my local IT staff here at the fulfillment center, which is about a 45-minute drive each way from my house. And I talked with them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, bring it in. We can get it all set up. We have a corporate network here. Like, you'll be able to set it up, connect it, get all that stuff rolling." And so I did that, and I sat there for half a day, and everything was working great. And so I brought it home, and it didn't work. Like, when I tried to connect over VPN versus connecting to the network directly, it said, hey, it needs to download some more updates and stuff, but because I didn't have access to the corporate network, it couldn't get those updates. It was a whole thing. And at that time, I was again planning to go back to Seattle in early March. We were supposed to have a team offsite. And I got my machine, and I got it all ready, and then we didn't have the offsite because COVID hit. So then it's March, and I'm like, I really got to do something with this. So then I called the IT guy again, because again, like, I'm trying to do my job, so this isn't something I can spend days working on. I call back to the IT staff at the fulfillment center, and they're like, yeah, come on. And they're super awesome guys. They're super helpful. And I go in, and I get everything set up, and we think we're good. Ignore, cancel. I don't love that my machine's just rebooting randomly, but anyway, the long story for this. Yes, Gold Zulu, you are exactly correct. I have a relatively beefy Windows PC sitting here in front of me, and then I have everything set up in that, and then I just have an Elgato 4K capture card in the PC, and I run an HDMI cable from that to my Mac, and it's capturing my display. It offers me a lot of reliability and flexibility that working just from my laptop doesn't give me. But in addition to that, my laptop is not powerful enough, really, to be able to stream from it and like do anything else. I was on the road once. I was at that conference last August, and I have a whole like Pelican case that has all of this awesome streaming. Like, I have an extra light, I have a stream deck, I have an entire take with me kit for streaming, or at least I did. And I got there, and I was streaming from the same PC that I was doing, and like, even to like click on a link on a web page and have it happen, that took 10, 15, 20 seconds, because it was just eating everything up. All the resources on my machine were just chugging. So my next step when we get back on the road and I try to stream from the road is probably to get myself, I don't know, a Mac Mini or some kind of very small form factor PC that has enough guts to do this properly, with an external capture card and like something I can just keep and travel with. And the machine would only be used when I'm on the road. But yeah, that's where I'm at currently. Anyway, we're trying to get back to coding. I don't know why my machine just rebooted, but anyway, I was telling the story about this laptop. So anyway, it's just been over and over and over. I've been trying to go back to the fulfillment center and get them to fix this stuff. I've reached out to our IT department, like the corporate Seattle IT department, and they told me to go to the fulfillment center. Like, they're not really offering me any support. So I took it there on Thursday again, and they're just completely re-imaging it. Mr. Smoofy, the casino has stopped working because my machine just decided to restart. So we got to go back and see if we can get these bots back up and running. Node index.js. I need to write a script to get these all going. Node bot.js. And node index.js. Mr. Smoofy, it is back and running. Sorry for that. So anyway, so now it's August, and I still haven't been able to use this brand new, awesome 2019 MacBook Pro with a ton of RAM and hard drive space and whatever. I'm still struggling along on this one after what is like 10 months. And it's stupid, but it's mostly caused by remote and then by COVID. So I don't necessarily blame anybody for it, and I've also not been diligent about like really trying to keep up with it. Um, so the machine has just sat here for a couple of months, and then I'm like, I really need to start using that again. But this is where we're at. This is what we're doing. So they're reimaging it. They were reimaging on a Friday. I think maybe I'll be able to pick it up today. We will see. So let's do one of these. Oh yeah, like I need to get all these bots just running on an EC2 instance. I have the EC2 instance set up. Jeff Nunn did a fantastic job of helping me set that up once, and then I've forgotten everything about how I did it, and probably need to sit with him again. I've been pushing. In fact, I'd be curious for you guys to answer this question, since you show up for a lot of our streams. I've been talking with Jeff Nunn. I want to build more stuff with him. I have a billion ideas that I want to build. And oftentimes I don't always have all of the knowledge I need, and it seems like he's always working on things that are similar to what I'm working on. And so I felt like it might make sense for us to pair up. Maybe we have like a shared stream once a week where we get together and talk about whatever. So we'll call this start. I guess we'll start poker intent. Or no, we're starting with slots. We'll start with slots intent. But would you guys like that? Like, I don't know if it's on our channel. Maybe it's on the Alexa channel. I don't know. But I feel like I just want to hang out with Jeff Nunn more and talk about code and technology and whatever. Would that be interesting to you guys? Slots? Nope. And of course, he hasn't committed to participate at all. I'm just throwing things against the wall. Samples. Okay, so we're gonna try this because I think we can do some more interesting things with this. I generally try to consolidate my intents, but let's disk space is critically low. I know that. You don't have to tell me that. I know that this is an awful machine that's not doing half of what I need it to do. It's almost 5 years old. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. So where was I? I was going to... No, not that. Developer.amazon.com. Mr. Smoofy noticed that the Mickey clock is gone. Yeah, that just actually happened this morning. So that's impressive that you noticed it right away. The Mickey clock was also an Alexa clock, but both of them stopped working, and I don't know why. But I think I like this better. One, it's a matte finish versus the. I still have it right here. This is Mickey with the glossy. You can see it's got like a reflection, so you can see like if I get the tilt right. That is the two lights that are shining on my face so that I look all nice. But the reflection shows up on just everything. So I'm going to put this someplace else in my house. I probably just need to replace the batteries. But I don't know, there's things about these wall clocks that I've really struggled with. With these, because it's a matte finish, there's no glossy cover like this has. And the hands... If you set the clock down or you... those are the only two. Is just Mickey and the regular one. But the white one, the hands come off really easy. Like I set it on my desk and then I set something on top of it and one of the hands popped off. And then I didn't know how to reset the time and like make sure... Because it's not obvious when you put the hands on like which way it should point. And so really struggled with that. But I finally found a tutorial this morning actually that... showed me how to get the clock to reset to midnight or noon, so that I could play with that. Interaction model, JSON editor. We're going to create a new one called Start Slots Intent, And in this start slots intent, we're going to say things like play slots. No. Play slots. What is going on? My computer is not happy with me today. And I don't have local debugging on, and it's already 11 o'clock. Well, I think the thing that I'm going to do, I think I may actually have to wrap up here in just a bit, but I think what I'm going to do is instead of having a game slot that has the different games, I think the plan is going to be to build a start game slot, start game intent for each of the games, and then if you say something like, play slots for 10, then it'll say, okay, I'm spinning the reels and I can do all that stuff. But if I say play slots, it's going to then use dialogue management to be able to say, oh, how much do you want to wager? Right? We can lean on some of those features. And I think this is probably the right way to go. This is the very Amazon way to do this, right? I start with my customer. I start thinking about how they're going to interact with the skill and what makes the most sense and the best ease of use for them. And then once I have that structured and stubbed out, then I can worry about a game actually happening. And for now, I could just put in fake responses like, okay, in the case of slots, like, hey, you won. And we could play some sound effects or whatever, but it's not actually doing anything. For poker, though, I could be more elaborate about it, right? Oh, you were dealt these cards. Which ones do you want to keep? And we could go from there. So I think that's going to be my next steps. But I'm very concerned about my schedule today, since I am interviewing Aaron Rubinson today, and I do not want to be late or screw it up or anything. And my machine is being very touchy. I think that what I'm going to do instead, we got an hour in today. I will have more time later this week to tune into some other things. But I should let you guys know that I'm actually speaking at another conference tomorrow. Let's see if we can find that before I hang up here. There's an event tomorrow, if you guys would like to tune in. I'm doing a 55-minute presentation. The natural language processing. This one's tomorrow from noon to 5 Eastern. And if you look at the content here, I don't know if it costs anything to attend. That's probably something I should know. But we've got bots that make us smarter, getting started with NLP. I'm at the end, I guess. Understanding Alexa is what I'm going to be doing. And it's for you guys that build Alexa stuff. It's not necessarily going to be anything new. I'm kind of combining my intro to building an Alexa skill with my 10 things every skill should do presentation. So if you haven't seen those, tune in. It would be good to have you there. Let's see what it... Oh yeah, you just sign up with an email. So let me drop this link in here. But you can see these are the sessions that are being offered. And I will take this link. I got to go back to Twitch because it closed on me. And I will drop this in the chat for you. There you go. So I'm doing that tomorrow, in addition to office hours. So I'll be at office hours obviously tomorrow, and then this Manning thing in the afternoon. But I'm going to try and do some makeup streams this week to get back in the saddle. So don't be surprised if you see some odd times that I'm streaming this week. But with that said, we're at 11. My panicked brain, especially with my machine having rebooted, is saying, hey, you need to get your stuff together for this thing at noon. So I think I'm going to wrap up now. But I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. I'll keep you posted on what's going on with me and Jeff Nunn. And if we can do that stuff, I think it might be fun to just have him and I get on air once a week and talk about things or build things or whatever. So with that, I think I will sign off for today. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and I will see you all again very soon.